So picture this. An artist passes away, and of course, there's an outpouring of grief. But what if the death of one single artist could bring an entire state to a complete standstill? I'm not being hypothetical here. The love for Zubeen Garg in Assam is so deep, so profound, that it makes you wonder, while the mainstream media might just call him a regional singer, what do the people of Assam see that the rest of India seems to be missing?
And that's really the big question we're going to get into today. What did Zubeen Garg actually represent that so many of us failed to see? And believe me, the answer isn't just about his music. It's about identity, it's about struggle, and it's about the very idea of what India is. So right here, this is the disconnect. On one side, you have this simple, almost dismissive label. And on the other, a literal sea of people on the streets, an entire state grieving for a man they called their brother, Zubeen Da. This isn't just a difference in numbers. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of who this man really was. To really get it, we have to look way beyond the stage. We need to understand the world that made Zubeen Garg. A world filled with these deep-seated anxieties that he didn't just live through, he actually gave a voice to. You see, Zubin didn't just sing songs, he sang the reality of Assam. His life, his art, it was all completely tangled up with the region's long, complicated struggles. It's a story of a people just trying to hold on to who they are. All these things basically created a perfect storm. I mean, just imagine being a young person in Assam. You're watching your culture feel like it's under threat, you're seeing jobs disappear because of corruption, and you're constantly feeling like a stranger in your own home. This was the simmering anger and frustration that Zubeen tapped right into. And that feeling of being an outsider, it wasn't just in their heads. It's actually reinforced by the rest of the country. A survey found that a staggering 52%, more than half, of Indians hold negative stereotypes about people from the Northeast. And this quote, this really captures the crude, ugly reality of those stereotypes. This isn't just ignorance. It's a kind of dehumanizing prejudice that people from the Northeast have to deal with every single day in their own country. This is the world that Zubeen's voice came out of.
So, how did one man's music become the anthem for all these complicated feelings? How did his songs somehow become protest, comfort, and hope all rolled into one? Well, Zubeen's music did two incredible things at once. First, it was a mirror. It reflected the anxieties of young Assamese people right back at them, and it made them feel seen. And second, it was an amplifier. It took all those quiet individual fears and cranked them up, turning them into a powerful collective voice. His songs were just packed with meaning. On the surface, a song like Mayabuni might sound like a love song, but it's really about searching for something pure and real in a corrupt world. Manjai became this huge anthem for a generation facing a totally uncertain future. And even something as simple as a handkerchief in Yarumal became this powerful metaphor for how fragile relationships can be in turbulent times. And the sheer volume of his work, it's just unbelievable. He recorded around 40,000 songs in his career. Let that sink in. 40,000. This wasn't just a job for him, it was a mission. He was always creating, always speaking to his people, sometimes recording 50 or 60 songs in a single day. And he spoke directly to the youth, not with some complex political theory, but with simple, powerful advice. This line, "Don't do politics, friend, stay clean, don't drown in lies and selfishness," it was a direct shot at the dirty games he saw stealing his people's future. It was a call for integrity. And this voice, which started in music, was about to find its way to the front lines of a massive social movement. This is the moment the artist truly became the activist. Okay, and this is absolutely crucial to understand. While most of India was protesting the Citizenship Amendment Act because of religious discrimination, Assam's protest was coming from a totally different place. It was rooted in this decades-old fear of their culture being erased by demographic change. For them, this was an existential fight. And right at the heart of this huge fight stood Zubeen. And when he said these words to the massive crowds, it was just a defining moment. He wasn't a performer anymore. He fully stepped into the role of a protector of his people, their brother. So you can see his journey, right? It was a complete evolution. He started as the artist who put their pain into words. Then he became the activist who organized them with things like the Concert for Peace and Harmony. And finally, he became the brother who stood right there with them through everything, from political protests to flood relief. He didn't just sing for them, he lived with them.
So when we see that sea of grief, it becomes so clear. It wasn't just for a singer. It was for a guardian. And this whole thing brings us to a much bigger, maybe more uncomfortable question for the rest of the country.
The problem isn't that Zubin's story is too regional or too complex. The real problem is a national narrative that's just too narrow. It's a mainstream culture that seems unwilling or maybe just unable to look beyond its own bubble and understand all the different realities that actually make up this nation. And that's the fundamental question his legacy forces us to ask. I mean, what does it mean to be Indian? Is it limited to just the Hindi heartland? Or is there room for the anxieties, the hopes, and the heroes of places like the Northeast? Seriously, why don't our kids learn about the Assam movement in history class? Why aren't figures like Zubin Garg studied as the cultural phenomena they are in our schools? The national story has these huge blind spots, and when you leave these things out, it has real consequences. It creates the very ignorance and prejudice we were talking about earlier. So in the end, the greatest tribute to Zubin Garg isn't just about mourning him or playing his songs. It's about finally doing the hard work of building a more inclusive national identity, one that actually recognizes and celebrates all the different voices that give India its real strength. And that leaves us with this final choice. We can see Zubin's legacy as a beautiful tribute to a beloved regional icon, or we can see it as a warning, a sign that if we keep ignoring the voices on the so-called margins, we risk failing to understand our own country. The choice is ours.